Good morning, everyone. My name is Kate Hall, and today we'll be talking about Antonio Maura from my 2151 Humanities class. Antonio Maura was an important political figure in the late 1800s and early 1900s stages of Spain. Some basic facts about Antonio Maura include that he was born on May 2nd, 1853. His hometown was Palma, Majorca, Spain, and he held the office of Prime Minister 5 times, which is very impressive. He originally started his political career as a liberal and then later became more of a conservative in office. This is important because of the way that people viewed him, and his approval rating for the people that originally were backing him and supporting him kind of changed because he changed the way that he worked for politics. We have a picture of him right here in his later years. The early days for Antonio Maura included when he was elected in 1881 for the first time. This was when he was elected for the Spanish Parliament, or the Cortes. It was not until 1890 that he became the minister of the Liberal cabinet of Praxedes Mateo Sagasta. He resigned right after the reforms that would have gave Cuba autonomy failed to pass, and I'm assuming he probably did this in an effort to get someone else in office that could maybe get something passed. His prime minister debut began in 1903, but the debut for his prime minister days fell short whenever he resigned office in protest. He was in protest of King Alfonso XIII because he assumed that King Alfonso was trying to gain personal power through the office of king, or the status of king. So he never had that solid proof that he was looking for, but I'm assuming since Alfonso was a king, there were ways for him to get around having proof left behind of what he was trying to do, and Antonio saw through that, which is very wise of him. Maura began his second term as prime minister in 1907 and ended it in 1909. During this time, he was able to pass some of the projects that he had been planning to do. Some of these included reforming the local governments and making school required by law, which is interesting when you think about America in the sense that we are required by law to go to school until we are old enough to decide to drop out or stay in and do what we want to with our lives from that point. So it's kind of interesting to see that Spain and America have had similar things going on, even like now compared to old Spain. We had something in common, at least a little bit, with them, and back then they were very different in the way that they viewed things and people. In his attempt to promote Spanish political influence and commercial influence in Morocco, he unintentionally started the Rif War, which is a really big deal. It was a pretty prominent war back in the day that actually had a big impact on Spain. This set off a strike for most people in the area of Spain, and anti-clerical violence started across Spain, so they were protesting against the church, basically. And it was the Catholic Church because that was like the biggest religion in Spain at the time. In order to help regain control, Maura executed the propagandist Francisco Ferrer. And although he never intended for it to work out this way, a lot of his supporters after that point began to have more authoritarian viewpoints, which he did not have, nor support, I might add. In the wind downs of his political career, after being forced to resign after the Rif War, which is understandable, he also resigned his seat in the Spanish Parliament. He also resigned his seat as the Conservative Party leader, which is where, whenever he turned conservative, people started to change the way they viewed him. And after this, he took position as the head of government 3 more times in times of crisis, which lets us know that people thought he was wise and needed his judgment. And people say that he was a great leader, but he just needed to understand people a little bit better. Have my sites from Britannica.com. It's a great website. And that's the end of my presentation. And I hope that y'all have a wonderful day. Thank you.